ahead and call the meeting to order at 7:02. And the first order of business is for us to approve the minutes from last month. And I know that there were a couple of edits I had. The Boy Scout who was present, we have his name reversed. So we need to change that around. And then in item number 4, it says this would include a bag of mulch per person. It's actually a bag of mulch per tree. And those are all the changes I saw. Did anybody else have any edits? No? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
All right, Devin. And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Karen? All right, we have to poll the group. So Karen, in favor or opposed?
Yes.
Yes. And Devin?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
And I am as well, so it's unanimous then. All right. Moving on to the second item on the agenda, the Legacy Tree Project. So Ralph sent out the brochure, which I shared with you. And let's start with that. So do we have any edits to the brochure that we recommend?
You look great.
I'm sorry, who said what? I heard it looks great. And
Did you send it today?
I did.
Oh, okay.
You haven't seen it?
So I haven't seen anything yet.
So Ralph and I were discussing today, one of the things it says is that this is, we are initiating this project, and that's not accurate. And I know that Commissioner Urban is very proud of having done that when he was on the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee years ago. So I suggested we might want to change that. We could say promoting, sponsoring, hosting, or some other verb we can come up with tonight if you think that that's important.
I like hosting.
You like hosting? Okay. Jill and Devin, any discussion?
No, I think that'll work. Hosting.
Okay. Do we think it's necessary to change it?
Good question.
If it's a touch, you're saying it's kind of a touch point. It could be a touch point.
Well, I know when I spoke to the commissioners in November, and I talked about this, Commissioner Urban was quick to tell me that this was not a new project, that the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee, when he was on it, Ralph, what would that have been? 15 years ago, maybe?
Probably so. Yep.
Long time. Had actually started this project. And I said, yeah, we're aware of that. It just seems to have fallen on the side of the road. So we're trying to resurrect it.
Forgive me because I'm sitting in a supply closet and not in front of my computer. What is the language? How does it read right now?
I can pull it up if you. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
We are on item 2 of the agenda. If you'll give me just 1 second, I'll pull it up on my computer and read it to you.
Got it up. I can read it.
Okay, then you read it.
Okay, so I'm reading the sidebar, which is where we're talking about changing the wording.
Yes.
The Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee is initiating a program to enhance and protect our town's tree canopy. And in doing so, the town is looking for detailed information about the town's big trees. The committee is asking the citizens of Matthews to participate in nominating, inventorying, and mapping the trees for the Living Legacy Tree Program. This will allow the town to identify and recognize the largest, rarest, oldest, and prettiest trees of various species in Matthews.
Okay, so that very first sentence with the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee is initiating a project. That's what I'm questioning about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can make an easy fix to avoid a dust up or a potential for any kind of singed feelings by just changing it to expanding, enhancing, continuing, something along those lines to, give a nod to the past but also recognition that we're moving forward.
I kind of like the word expanding because I think that is what we're trying to do here, since it just doesn't look like it really ever took off strongly. And we are trying to bring more awareness to people so that they start engaging with this program.
Yep.
Did we step on someone's toes?
We're trying to avoid that. We did not initiate the project. It was done quite a few years back, 15, maybe even 20. So I don't want to claim something we didn't do. So I'm trying to be very careful there.
Explain to me again what Urban was on the Tree and Appearance Committee.
Yeah, actually, Mayor Hilton and Commissioner Urban were on the Appearance and Tree Advisory
So
Committee.
it is the Tree and Appearance Committee that did initiate it. We're just not saying what year they initiated it, right?
That's
Correct.
one way we could look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? We're all the same, just continuing to, I don't know.
It could be kind of selling an old idea like a new idea. I don't know, since it's not been active as much as we'd like here.
Well, we could say reactivating too, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, re-energizing or reacting or, reactivating.
But then those words will be on that brochure for some time to come. So whatever they read.
Right.
So at one point it looked like hosting might be. You guys got to tell me something.
Oh, my computer just died, so I can't. I'm on the iPad, so give me a minute to get one running.
We can hear you. So far we have on the list promoting, sponsoring, hosting, expanding, reactivating, and re-energizing.
I like the word sponsor.
Okay.
That's kind of general, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And it's timeless, right? Like it won't go out of favor, year over year, like
Right.
even initiating would, right? Initiating, past the first 6 months, maybe then is all of a sudden stale.
Changing it to the first sentence to the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee sponsors a program to enhance and protect our town's tree canopy, etc. That way we're just kind of like getting away from it sounding new or.
Yeah. I like that. When we just left the new part out altogether. So,
Yep.
because it's not new.
That works.
Karen, you good with that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure we need to vote on this since it's just a small edit to the brochure. And also on the front, there's something about enhancing and protecting. Jill, can you read that sentence, please?
Right under the logo, which it said, help enhance and protect our town's tree canopy.
Okay. So the word enhance kind of hung up with me. Perhaps identify and protect? Because I can't think what we're doing that would enhance the tree canopy.
Is the goal to expand it or grow it, make it larger?
Yeah.
Because we want to protect. I would almost say protect and expand, or protect and grow, or something. Because I think the first line of defense is protect, right? And then the second is the work that we're doing to add trees to the canopy and grow things.
Okay. Other discussion?
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So protect and grow, or protect and expand?
I like expand.
Expand or increase.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure that fits what the program is intended to do. It's intended to recognize the current trees.
And protect them. Yes.
And protect
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we're definitely going to protect them.
Well, then what about just recognize and protect then?
Yeah, help recognize and protect our trees.
Yeah.
Is that good with everybody?
Mhm.
Ralph, you're good with that too?
Yes,
Excellent. All right, Ralph, any new installations since last month
in terms of trees?
in terms of the stones marking the legacy tree?
Oh, I have not. I'm starting to drown in seasonal expectations here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to go ahead and get the ones over there at the Reed House. Go ahead and get those two, at least get those accomplished.
And we had talked about wanting to do some publicity with this and liked the idea of us all having our picture made in front of one of the trees at Matthews Elementary School that already have the markers there. So tell me where we are in this process. Are you comfortable meeting together? Do you want to put this off a little while longer?
Yeah, I don't know, in terms of these Zoom meetings, I'm not sure where we're going to be next month or, that seems kind of questionable, but it seems like we might be doable by May, don't you think? I don't know.
Looking in a crystal ball at this point, I was kind of thinking we might meet sometime other than the meeting night, but I don't know. But again, I want to make sure everybody's comfortable. I think we can go ahead and get started with this project, which we already have since there are 2 markers installed at Matthews Elementary, without doing a huge amount of publicity right now. And it doesn't require that we have our pictures made. So we could go ahead with the publicity, and then we can have a group picture made by one of the markers whenever we feel comfortable doing so.
I like that.
You like that? All right, well, we'll just kind of table that one and leave it on the old business month by month by month and see what happens then. So we have the brochure completed. Yay, that's a huge thing. We've got 2 installed, which is a huge thing. So we're making progress here. All right, going to number 3, milkweed for monarchs. Jennifer, I'm so glad you're on here so you can give us an update.
I got in touch with Tricia at the church last week and explained what we wanted, and that we were the group that they had loaned us the parking lot before for the tree sale, and we were thrilled for that, and it went really well. We were wondering if we could do it again, May 22nd, and she needed all the information in an email so she could share it, because they're not meeting together at all right now. Apparently they're doing everything from home. So I am hoping that I did not hear from her today, so I am hoping that I will hear tomorrow or Wednesday. And if I don't by Wednesday, I'm back on the phone calling over there to try to get her on the phone again.
Okay.
Or at least emailing, since she's not in the office. But I think that's why I didn't get Dave for about 3 weeks. I couldn't get anybody because they're not in the office. So I hope to hear from her tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest.
Okay. Devin had an excellent idea over the weekend about a plan B. So let's go ahead and talk about that now, just in case she gives you a negative response when she contacts you.
I will say that she did not seem to have any issue with it. Didn't think it was going to be a problem at all. She just said, can you put it all in an email and email it to me so I can send it out to my people? But she said, but I don't see this being a problem at all.
Okay.
So
good. Devin, go ahead and throw that idea out, though, just so we have it on record.
Yeah, my thoughts, just a question logistically, could we use the community center parking lot and the Matthew kind of around the back, around by the elementary school? I think we could, in a smaller capacity, move folks around, through a cone path to get them in and out in a, kind of a circular pattern. Don't mind the Cub Scouts.
Somebody's being murdered. Well, and I think it fulfills our goals, which were to have a drive-through and have them be able to come in and then go out another exit. And that still works for the Matthews Community Center. And I assume we wouldn't have any trouble getting permission to use that. I don't think that they're doing much with the community center right now. Not that anything that I'm seeing. Ralph, am I misinformed?
Well, I can't speak for Melissa. Melissa's in charge of scheduling for a lot of that stuff. So it might be nice just to check with her, because by the time May 22nd rolls around, I don't know what's going to be happening.
Right. Okay, I'll be happy to do that this week just to have a backup, but we'll still have Matthews United Methodist as our first choice. I just didn't want to wait until our April meeting because that gives us only a month to nail this down, and that made me nervous. And I assume we're still good with a drive-through event regardless of where we have it. Okay. I think it's going to be
I think it worked well. I think it worked well for the tree store that we did. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't do it for these. They're much smaller plants, you know?
Right. Okay. And I did find handouts. I started spelunking in some of my file cabinets, and I do have handouts that I'll bring for people to take if they would like them. So we'll have all of those things accounted for. Anything else on that?
Remind me again, when they do the drive-through, how is it we're handing it to them, putting it in their car? How are we doing that?
I think that's what we had intended, so that they stay in their car. We will have to accept some sort of payment, and I think we probably should maybe stick to cash or checks. I mean, we don't want to get into cards. I don't know what the town would do about that. And then we've got the limit of 10. So I think that gives us, we just need a bit of change on hand, perhaps. Mm-hmm. And we put it in their car and send them on their way.
Are we, is it going to be in a bag? Are there plastic trays? How are we doing that part?
That's a good question. So I can't remember. I want to say these are 3-inch pots, Lisa said. And I guess it would depend on how many they bought. They can only buy a maximum of 10, but they might just want one. So I guess that would depend on whether anything would be necessary.
Okay.
I have a blue zillion grocery bags that I constantly forget to take in for recycling, and I would be more than glad to bring those. And we could probably get 3 or 4 of those 3-inch pots in one of those would be my guess. And at least my mother, I can hear my mother. She doesn't want them leaking in her car. So for those people, we have these garbage bags, these little grocery bags. So that would be one option.
Yeah, I think that's a great option. So if you're willing to commit to doing that, I'm willing to have that.
I'm sure we all have some. So
Yeah.
All right, and now the very big question, who's committing to working this? It's the 22nd of May, and I believe we said, help me out, somebody, 8 to
9 to 11.
9 to 11.
I think is what we were saying.
Okay. So based on your availability, Karen, I know you work retail, so that's why I'm asking.
As long as it's 3 weeks out, I can put in for time off. So
okay.
I can ask off for that.
All right.
Fingers crossed. They'll give it to me.
Jennifer?
I'll do it.
Okay. Devin, you're shaking your head.
should be able to.
Cookies should be finished by then?
They will be finished by then, but other stuff going
All right. Well, regardless, it sounds like we will have enough people to get this covered. So that's a good thing. All right. Any more discussion, any questions, any concerns on that issue?
I was going to say, the scout troop here is looking for volunteer, opportunities, and because of the age demographic, these guys have to have a parent around. Mm-hmm. So, there would be a grown up. It wouldn't be us supervising, young kiddos. So if there is an interest in having extra bodies, this might help, some of these scouts fulfill a volunteer requirement in some way, shape, or form if we wanted to. I know we've got potentially another opportunity, litter pickup, but these little guys got to get their service hours in. So yeah. Reese will obviously, be around, but there's probably some other parents that might want to look for an opportunity for their kids to get a service project in. So something to think about. I don't know how we, with the cars and traffic and whether or not that would work for the youngest of these little guys, but something to think about if we need some extra grown-up bodies to be there too.
Okay, that's a good point. Any comments? Can we wait and answer you next month on this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right,
totally. Cool. Just throwing it out there as an idea.
Okay, perfect. All right, going on to item 4, the tree inventory. I had 2 quick questions on this. So It turns out there, Ralph, you explained that we do have an inventory and how we have it.
Yes, I got Schneider Tree to do a tree inventory of basically the street trees. So I haven't done any of the interior trees for the most part, but just primarily street trees. The next step would be for them to go into the parks, and I've got to see how my little budget's holding out right now to see if I had funds for that. But basically, they the inventory kind of describes the tree, the species of the tree, the condition, the health of the tree. I don't know if there's a way to estimate the age. They may do that, and then also a GPS location within the town, and I guess it serves so that when we do another inventory, let's say 5 years down the road, we can track the trees and see how they've evolved, if they even still exist in that spot. They should, being a town tree. There's no reason for them not to. So that's what it's made up of right now. Yeah.
And where's this information being stored?
We've got it on it's through the Schneider Tree Service. So you can get into their network and access our account. I'll have to get that information if anybody's interested. I'll get that.
I'm just curious because some of you may not be aware of this. There was a survey. How long ago was Pat here?
It was probably done again, probably 16 or more years ago.
Yeah.
And it was done at that time by
Pat Meehan.
Yeah, well, he had a service do it.
Okay.
He had a service do it. I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't come up with it. But yeah, so, and it's, we've come a long way in 16 years in terms of technology. So it's all about that at this point.
Apparently we lost the data that we had. So that's why I'm kind of asking about this.
Yeah, it shouldn't have changed dramatically. The trees that we have. I know we've lost a few trees, but we plant trees when we lose trees. So that's kind of the objective.
Would you be interested in adding legacy trees as they're identified to this data?
Yeah, I can get with Chris Green, my representative, and see if he'll put that in there for us. Yeah, okay. Maybe as a side thing. Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. Any questions or comments on that? Nope. All right, moving on to number 5. Ralph, do you have any update on the non-toxic neighbor grant?
I do not. I know that as of now, we're looking to use a good bit of that money for a seasonal person to help to carry out our integrated weed management plan, which we're working on probably today and tomorrow, present to the board on the 22nd. Basically, it's going to be in a very outlined form. It's real rudimentary at this point. We're just now jumping into it, and we already realize it's going to take more money and more time to carry out more of a organic kind of approach to taking care of weeds and turf. So that's where we're at right now. Yeah.
Is there a plan to keep data on this in the form of
yes. Yeah, we're gonna have to track it. The cost, the activity, seasonal and all that, manpower, the labor that we would use. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, one, we weren't sure whether the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee would have any leftover funds to use for a potential tree store.
Right.
And it sounds like you're going to need all the money that you have.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. So I think that'll be worked out in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave this on the agenda then so we can ask again at next month's meeting.
I mean, some of it, probably the remainder might be able to be used for some kind of educational materials and that sort of thing. I can imagine that might be the case, but I've got to see what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Is there somebody available to read the information that came with the grant as far as the funds usage?
You mean after the meeting? After the Monday night? Yeah. I'm not real sure what kind of materials we have ready yet. So we're not there, I don't think.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on that item?
It was interesting. I called 1,000 people and emailed 1,000 more to ask them what they were doing, all my contacts. And it was really interesting that most of them are using Roundup, which was amazing. But NC Arboretum has started using drip torches. That the town of Carver uses drip torching goats. Who else? Botanical Gardens are using, I forgot. It was really interesting. But a lot of people are experimenting and trying the drip torch is the way they're going to try to go.
Yeah, I've used, in my experience, I've used all kind of, little torch. I've used steam, from hot water things, but these are just, I don't know, they're temporary for a lot of weeds. You can zap a crabgrass weed with 500 degrees if you want to, but in another few weeks it'll keep popping up. That's how vigorous it is. Mm-hmm. So, we have problems with that, especially since we deal on such a large scale. It's going to be quite a challenge for us. So.
Well, I was explaining to my husband today, if something is disseminated by wind, it makes it a real challenge to try and corral it.
Right. And you don't want to, sometimes you say the cultural practices like tilling up the area or, scratching it, tilling it up. And that just disturbs the soil even more sometimes and creates more bed for potential weeds. Yeah.
I think Dr. Mellichamp at UNCC would agree with you on that comment. All right. Anything else on this? No. All right. Moving on to the tree store. So I have sent Hazen an email. I think I sent it out week before last, and said, so hypothetically speaking, is there any chance of the town adding a budget item for us to have a tree store for Matthews? And gave him the whole amount, and then said, potentially we could have a smaller store, or we might have some other options, but I just wanted to get some weigh in on you, and I have not heard back from him yet. He's really good about getting back, so I'm sure I'll have more information by next month. So we'll just hang on to that for next month.
Yeah, they're going to be working on the preliminary budget decisions over that next month that you're talking about.
I wanted to make really sure we got in before that process had started, so that we had some kind of a chance for doing that. Okay, so moving to new business. We have a new project that you may not have heard about. I was on a meeting with the town last week, and there's a lot of discussion going on about the amount of litter in the town of Matthews. And so they're looking at different ways of addressing it. There are several different large national organizations that have a program like Keep America Beautiful, for example, or Litter Sweep, or can't think what the stream restoration project is called. But I think that the final decision is we're going to try and just do our own thing in Matthews. It'll be during one of those weeks when there's a national one, but it's going to be April 17th. That's a Saturday. And one of the things that was mentioned was the amount of traffic on 485, on the sides of 485, and in the median. And I was ready to, start clapping my hands over my ears over that one, because I don't want to be out on 485. But one of the Matthews police officers was there, and he said they would handle that. Department of Transportation is also supposed to be doing some cleanup on state-owned roads, and so 74 would be an example of that. So they will be handling some of that, and Matthews police officers will be providing help and safety. So basically what they're looking for now is they're going to inventory all of the parks and see which parks have problems. And then as the Matthews police officers do patrols, they're going to keep a running list of problem areas. And then they're asking neighborhoods to be involved so that, say, where I live on Brightmoor on Pleasant Plains, somebody could say, okay, we will clean up our own neighborhood, but we'll also clean up Pleasant Plains between the two entrances. Somebody who lives in Ashley Creek, which is adjacent to Squirrel Lake Park, could clean up Pleasant Plains around the park entrance there. So they're looking for people to participate, and it'll probably be a 3-hour deal, is what I think they said. You can plan ahead of time what you're going to do and let them know, or they'll also be disseminating a list of different projects and locations. They will have gloves, goggles, safety vests, picker-upper thingies, for lack of a technical term. And then they will also keep information about where people have worked, and they'll send trucks there to pick up bags and large debris items. So we used to do this years ago on Earth Day. They called it litter sweep then, and people would just show up and they'd send them out wherever there was a problem. And I don't know what happened to the project, why it just kind of disappeared. But anyway, I'm letting you know about it. I think what I'll have to do is as they get more information on this, I'll just have to send out a group email and alert you to signups or whatever. But it would be great if we could do something either in our own neighborhoods or a public place and whatever. So questions, comments?
We don't know yet when they'll send out the different projects or the parks that they might be focused on yet, because our scout troop definitely wants to participate. So
Okay.
we'll get these little guys on some kind of a litter pickup project.
Excellent.
Yes.
And they'll be looking for safety there too. So we'll make sure it's in place.
Yeah, the parks make it a safer option.
Yeah.
Yep,
But
that's
also
what I was
things like
thinking.
the Greenway and Squirrel Lake are a good example.
Yeah, that's what I suggested to them, is probably Squirrel Lake or along the Greenway.
And the other thing that just popped into my head is the fishing line issues at Squirrel Lake Park. And I'm sure at some of our other parks, it's tangled in the trees. That's a danger to the waterfowl over there. So if we could get some older, larger, taller people to start pulling that out of the trees, that would be a really big help. So we can add that to the list. And the young man, the scout who was with us last month, that might be a really good project for his scout troop to do. And do we have other ponds at parks, Ralph?
I don't, the other parks are not as heavily used. Sardis is a pretty mellow little spot back in there. Windsor may be a little busier. It's got a creek, so that may be another problem area. I know I've seen a lot of trash pickup around Windsor. So maybe those two parks in particular, Windsor and Squirrel Lake, are problems.
Scott and Corey from Parks and Rec are supposed to be going and looking at all of the parks systematically so they can see where the problem areas are. And then, like I said, the police will give us data as they're doing patrols. And then when DOT weighs in and says what they're going to do, that gives us more information. So it would be really nice to have a big community turnout on this, though. So we'll just kind of see what happens, and I'll send out information as I get it. It's brand new. It just happened last week. Okay. So a while back, I couldn't figure out what I meant by this. A while back, Mayor Higdon asked about keeping a database as they're approached by people needing community service and by Eagle Scout candidates. And so I think we need to think about that from our perspective and be able to just keep an ongoing list of items that we can give to the town to help them come up with ideas for these things. So we can just think about that. If you want to put some items on a list tonight, we can keep it as a running agenda item and add to it as we come up with more ideas.
Invasive plant removals.
Oh, I like that one. Anything else?
Nothing's coming to mind right this second, but
I mean, I'm sure there's always a tree or two to be planted somewhere that, you know, we could get our hands on to do a tree planting. I know the Eagle Scouts like to build projects too. But at a minimum, I think, you know, increasing the tree canopy where we could and get trees donated every once in a while or help Ralph replace ones that come down.
I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding you with your mask on. Sorry.
That's okay. I was saying that tree planting projects, because the Eagle Scouts, you know, it seems like they always do legacy projects, leave behind projects. So maybe there's a way where Ralph has to, you know, cut down a certain number of bad trees, disease trees that, you know, we kind of track how many more trees we'd want to plant and work with those kinds of folks to replace those lost trees.
And that generally, this past year, because of the coronavirus, we didn't do it. And many municipalities didn't, and that's plant trees for Arbor Day. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm not sure how it's going to look this year. It's getting kind of close. Earth Day is about the 17th, whatever it is.
24th, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity. So, you know, we may have that same situation, but Arbor Day is generally a time when we'll plant some trees in specific areas, but that's one thought anyway.
I'm betting, since we haven't heard anything about Arbor Day or Earth Day, that they're not doing any town celebration this year.
Right.
Okay. If we find out otherwise, we'll let you know. And then we can also do the fishing line as part of that project too. Eagle Scout projects are more involved, and they have to raise their own money and write a proposal to get approved. And depending on where they are, they sometimes have man-hour requirements, like 100 man-hours. So none of these things we've talked about tonight would be appropriate for an Eagle Scout project, but it would sure be appropriate for Boy Scout troops. So that would still work. All right, anything else? So I am thrilled that we have two guests with us this evening. And the reason they're here is because they filled out applications for the Town of Matthews committees and boards. And both of these people indicated that they were interested in the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee. So, of course, we wanted to meet you guys. So I'd like to have you introduce yourself and give us just a little bit of background. Where are you from? What have you done? What's your interest in the Appearance and Tree Advisory Committee?
I'll start. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Kayla, originally from Kentucky. I've spent the past couple of years in Colorado I was an arborist and I did my undergrad in forestry. And I recently moved to Matthews 6 months ago with my 1-year-old. So I'm busy all the time and kind of still packing and still unpacking and moving in. But my interest is really getting to know the community. We're new here. We don't know many people. I love to get involved in community events. I like to host community events around food, etc. So yeah, I have that tree background, and really just the community aspect of the committee drew me in.
Well, Ralph should be thrilled to hear that. Ralph is our master arborist for the town.
Yeah, he was saying.
And our landscape manager.
That's awesome.
Okay. Guillermo, what about you?
Hello, Debbie. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
You are very famous.
We are.
I have been reading your report, Matthews. So let's see, that's my background. I'm from South America. I used to live in the rainforest between, let's say, near to Brazil. I am very concerned about trees. I'm very concerned about environment. Actually, I do work right now with a Canadian environmental company in order to provide, let's say, how can I say, better ways to improve safety in our communities in terms of environment. I love trees. I love plants. I love orchids. I love everything which is related to our plants. I have been living with my family in Matthews for 21 years. Really, I would really like to work with you guys and do something and keep doing something beautiful for our community in terms of beautification, protecting our trees, flowers, and so on. That's I would like to say.
Well, thank you. Do you have questions for us, either of you? You heard a lot of stuff thrown at you tonight, so I thought you might have questions.
I will let Kayla to ask first.
Yeah, mine is more regarding the email list and the agenda. I think I missed out on that email this time around, so I was a little lost when you guys are going through that. So if you don't mind just adding my name to that list, that would be awesome.
I'll be happy to. Guillermo, would you like the agenda from tonight too?
Yes, I would like to have the agenda.
Okay.
For sure.
I'll be happy to provide those with you. I've got your email address on your applications.
Yes, and I have one question. In terms of plants, tree plantations that Ralph mentioned before, how many trees are we planting? Can we value this per month, per day, per year? How is this calculated?
Ralph, I'm going to throw that one to you.
Are we talking in terms of the tree inventory? Is that what we're speaking of?
I would say yes. I am not familiar with your terminology, but I would say yes.
Yeah, so like I say, that's that basic information that we get, and maybe every 5 years we do a new inventory to track. I hope I'm answering your question. To track the trees that we have in the town, from street trees to build the trees around the buildings that we have, and eventually the trees within the parks. Just a solid street tree number. This does not include trees around buildings. We have about 100 trees, and I'd say they're primarily willow oaks and some ash trees and some white oaks and a few maples, but they're primarily willow oaks in this town as far as street trees.
But what I'm asking is the number of trees that we plant.
That we plant during the year?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's different over time. There was a time when we were doing more cost share planting with HOAs, and I'd get my numbers up around 100 trees. And 100 trees are 2.5 inch caliper B&B trees. They're not little trees; they're big trees. And now we're down to probably on average about 50 of those trees a year. So I try to shoot for about 50, since I don't have as much of the HOA cost share activity that I've had in the past.
But Ralph does make a commitment to plant trees when he takes a tree down.
Yes.
In general.
Yes.
So it's about 50 trees?
About 50 trees per year, yes.
Okay.
And as a committee, we've discussed how we can augment this, and Ralph feels that we're about planted out on the town property, and so we need to start encouraging homeowners to be the ones that put in trees.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. And so one of the things we did 2 years ago is we got together with Trees Charlotte. That's a nonprofit that only operates out of the Charlotte area. And we begged them to come to Matthews. And they did. And it was the only time they'd been outside of the Charlotte area to do a tree store. And they give trees away during this tree store. And they were 10 to 15 foot tall. They were big trees. They were all native, which was important to us. And everybody got a bag of mulch per tree. And it was a drive-through event. They could make a donation to Trees Charlotte, and I hear that they got a lot of donations that day. Matthews people were really happy to do this. So we can't talk Trees Charlotte into coming to Matthews again, it looks like. So we're looking, okay, can we have our own event? Their average cost per event is $20,000. So that was what we were talking about earlier tonight, about having our own tree store, to encourage people to plant trees on their own property. We have also edited the town's approved planting list, and we changed what developers are allowed to use on property that they're developing. We took out all of the non-native invasive plants that were on the list, such as Bradford pear, that type of thing, and then we augmented it with some natives. So that was a big project that we did over a year or so to improve the quality of the plantings that we're getting.
Okay, I like that.
Anything else?
Yes. You remember? When you drive from Matthews to McKee, they have this light. There is after the bridge, which has been constructed on the construction for many years, right?
Yeah.
I remember that I sent a letter to the mayor because they cut thousands of trees down there, and he said that they were going to replant the new trees to replace the trees they cut. And nothing happened. Do you know something about that, guys?
If it's where I think you're saying, it's Pleasant Plains and Weddington Road. And that was private property, and it was harvested for timber. So the town can't dictate what happens on private property.
Yeah.
What we also do is we work with the town on tree save for projects, because developers have to abide by a certain percentage of trees that are saved on a particular site. They do have a pay in lieu of fee if they choose to use that. And that fee, I don't remember where it goes right off the top of my head. Ralph, do you?
No, it may be general fund, but I think it should be coming back.
Yeah.
To a tree planting budget is where it needs to be.
Absolutely. So we have worked with that. We've increased the tree save percentage once already. And we've talked about a variety of ideas with the mayor and commissioners. They're all very open and receptive to ideas, and they know that trees are really important to a lot of people in Matthews. And so they're very willing to work with us on this project.
And the other side of it is, we believe in the trees, but then the developers, we also believe in a certain amount of development. So there's a real dance that has to go on between the two.
Yeah. And sometimes the dance means people step on their toes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ralph, I didn't get your message.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Ralph, I didn't understand what you were trying to say.
I'm just saying that you can only pressure developers to a certain degree. I think we've got like 15% tree save for some of these larger commercial ventures. If we ask them to do more, then we get kickback, and maybe, you just have to watch how much you demand of them sometimes.
We are one of very few communities that have our own tree ordinance, and some people feel if we made things too hard, then there will be a lobbyist in Raleigh speaking out against this. So we do a fine dance, as Ralph said. We don't want to have our good that we've done get canceled out because we push a little bit too hard. They do have, I know the mayor and the commissioners have had people meet from this committee with developers on potential sites, and we just kind of talk through the values of this committee and what we've done and what the town goals are with regard to trees. just to educate them a little bit up front.
Okay.
It's hard. It's I've been here 25 years, and the amount of trees that I've seen lost in 25 years time is heartbreaking. But if private property is being sold for development, that does limit some of the options.
Well, Debbie, I tell you something. I come from a country where you were not allowed to cut a tree if you don't get a permission from the city. It's not like well, this is my land, and I cut the tree, as many trees as I want. That's in our country is not possible. Okay, but
Yeah, and there's we have something somewhat similar here. So if they have a tree save of 15%, for example, and it is found that they did not adhere to that, there is a fine that goes into place. There is a development along Monroe Road by Sardis.
Oh,
And
I know
that was a big, huge problem. And once it was done, but they did incur a serious fine. They fined themselves and I think about doubled the landscape budget that they had so that they could replace. And they used all native plants that we had specified. So it was a horrible situation, but probably the best outcome we could have expected from that. And we met with the surrounding neighbors on that one too.
Yeah, I know that story.
Yeah. In an ideal world, we could save all the trees, but we don't live in an ideal world, sadly.
Well, Kayla, I'm sure that the number of trees here probably overwhelm you after you come from Colorado. And I lived out there for a while, and when you come to this part of the country, you're thankful for all the trees, and so we kind of want to keep it that way, obviously. But and you're not missing out on any of that snow, are you? That's going on out there?
They have like 3 feet of snow right now where I lived. Yes, I love the southern landscape. I miss the forest and the ecosystem so much. It's so different from Colorado. It's very dry and desert. But the forests here and the towns are way more populated with trees, with, like you were saying, maples and oaks and shade trees and hickories. And I love it. It's wonderful.
It is.
Nice. So here's the process. We will talk amongst ourselves, and then we make a recommendation to the town council. And the town council will then vote and tell you whether or not you've been approved for placement on a committee. They may want to interview you. I'm not sure if they're doing that right now or not, but that could be part of the process too. So it might take another month before you hear something, is my guess, just because of the process that you go through. But we'll stay in touch. And if they notify us that they've approved you, I will immediately send an email to you. Welcoming you to the group. We always meet this, what are we up to? The second Tuesday, Monday?
Third Monday.
Thank you. I don't even know what day of the week it is. At 7:00, and we usually meet in the Matthews Community Center, but for the last year, because of COVID, we have met via Zoom. And we haven't been told when that's going to change. I expect it'll be several more months before we're ready to go back to in-person meetings. And we do meet usually throughout the year, except for Christmas, because the third Monday of December is too close to Christmas to get a good turnout. So that's usually what we do, is we do not meet that Monday.
Good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ralph. And Thank you.
Thank you, both of you, for showing. Nice to see you. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to call me. I'll answer anything you got. Thank you.
I will.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
And you will have my email address when I send out the agenda to you. So you're welcome to contact me as well.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
So it looks like we lost Devin. She's probably going home from Scouts. So, comments? There she is. Hi.
She,
We have 2 openings. We have 2 applicants. What are we thinking?
May as well go for it.
Yeah.
Yes, Devin, or what are you thinking about this? You think that these are 2 good?
Yeah, I was saying it's nice to have some new energy. It'd be great to add a couple new faces.
Yeah. Ralph might enjoy having another male on the committee.
oh, you're kidding me. Come on. I love this. I love
There you
being,
go. You got your own
I'm the alpha male here. That's what.
So are we wanting to make an invitation to each of them? Okay.
Yeah.
And these were the only 2 who had appearance in tree advisory committee on their thing. Some people just checked every box for the whole town, but these were more specific, and we thought that they had some skills that we could use.
Sounds like it.
All right. So I will reach out to the town, or Lori, I guess, and tell her that we're good, and ask her what's next then.
Yeah, I think I have to write a memo, work up a memo.
All right, then I will let you do that.
Okay, if you want to communicate with her in any regard, that's fine. And she'll probably just come back and say, well, Ralph, you need to work up an official memo or something. So
Okay, well, if I can save you some time, I'll do that and send it to Lori. All right, is there anything else we need to discuss tonight? I would just, like I said, we had a very pretty good agenda and 2 interviews, and it is just now 7:59. We are good.
And just to let you know, we've got 30 more minutes if you just want to chat.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second it.
Jennifer, all in favor? Karen?
Yes.
Devin?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
And me. All right, we are adjourned at 8:00 straight up. Have a great week. See you next month.